Hey friends, it's Easter Sunday. I guess it's about 9 o'clock, maybe a little later in the morning, and I've just come across the rather dreadful news from Sri Lanka. I'm sure this is a very fluid story, and things are moving pretty rapidly. As far as I can tell, some 150 folks have lost their lives in this series of attacks, coordinated, obviously, attacks on 3 churches and a number of hotels. I'm not going to make any inference that these aren't real bombs and that people haven't really died. I can't know that at this point in time. I'm going to take that at face value. Do I think that there is the potential for this to be coordinated by the usual suspects? Yes, of course. But I'm drawing together the 3 most recent high-level events that have happened over the last month and a half, and that would be to start with the Ides of March, the 15th of March, in Christchurch. Christchurch under attack. And since then, there have been, it's hard to be sure, but seemingly a lot of attacks on, or vandalism of churches. Perhaps this has just been highlighted more in the news because of the recent event at Notre Dame. That's a Catholic church, and again, it's part of the Christchurch family, although it might be, Christchurch itself might be a reformist church, like an Anglican or whatever, but it's not. It's all the same for me. It's all the same club. It's all the same target. And of course, today being arguably one of the biggest, or the biggest Christian holiday. My neighbors just started up their lawnmower. I hope that's not. I'll look at the comments in a minute. I just want to get this off my chest first. I've been feeling a little bit heavy lately. It's a sense of what the heck. Where are we going? What's happening? And how come we're still so much in the dark, and that we seem to have made such a little impression on the status quo. But these Christchurch attacks, or Christian attacks on Christian establishments and Christian, in this case, services, which appear to have taken out so many people, targeted so many people, are seemingly ramping up the let's call it the anti-Christian rhetoric, or the anti-Christian energy. I actually haven't seen anyone pin the blame on Islam for the attack at Notre Dame. I haven't seen anyone at this point in time. It's far too early with the Sri Lanka attack, put the blame on Islam, but the inference is surely that this is, who could be anti-Christian in this world, in this paradigm, but for that particular group. Now, I'm not saying it's that group at all. That's not what I'm saying. My usual suspects are not devout religious followers. There's something much darker going on, and these coordinated events and the ramping up since the Christchurch event, and then exactly a month later, the collapsing of the of the spire at Notre Dame, very much point to the target coming into crosshairs, and very much point to trying to raise the. Oh, it's a horrible thing. Imagine 100, people in churches, and then bombs are going off. My wife's parents used to go to a church in South Africa, in Cape Town, where guys walked into the church and threw hand grenades and fired machine guns and stuff. What a dreadful thing to be a part of. But it's going to stoke the fires of religious revetment or rebutment, or like a sense of let's shore things up. I remember how after the 9/11 event, the Muslims felt very much the need to express their faith more strongly. I found that in London, people were much more. You saw a lot more people wearing around with headscarves and needing to their religion, for their thing, their faith. And so I wonder whether this isn't going to have a similar kind of rallying call for those Christians who are sort of sitting on the fence. Lately, my research has taken to choose sides. I've never wanted to take one team and put them ahead of another. I don't want to blame Jewish people for the fact that Jewish interests seem to own most of the banks, most of the media. I don't want to blame Jewish people that Israel is, creating a certain negative energy in the Islamic world. I don't want to blame Jewish people for that, or I don't want to hold individuals to account for that. Equally, I've never felt that, it was, well, maybe not never, but they might, not in the last 5 years, felt certainly that, the average Muslim should be held responsible for 9/11, assuming that 9/11 was done by those Muslims. But, I don't think that. So, I've grown up around Christians who defend the scourge. I mean, what do they call them? Not pilgrimages. Damn, I'm having a mind blank. I've got a noisy thing out in my back ear here. Maybe someone can help me out. But the Crusades, that's what I'm looking for. You can't really. But when you look at these organizations and you see how they're getting people to choose sides and to hold to a team and so on, then I see this as another important stepping stone towards some kind of them versus the others conflagration. I hate to say it like that, and I hate to be a harbinger of gloom and doom, but these things are happening for a reason. Lately, the last few days, I've listened to a few hours of Rosette Delacroix stuff. I used to listen to her a few years ago, and then kind of went cool on that on her content, because it was a little bit too Christian, if you like. It was a little bit too. You have to take Christ. You have to. There is only one way, and that's the Christian way, and so on. And again, I struggle really with that. This doesn't seem right. but so I've been listening to a little bit of her stuff recently, and it's left me quite unsettled because, you know, she talks about the Kalergi plan, which is like a white genocide thing. I don't know. I looked at it about a year ago and I just threw it away because it's like, nah, come on, that can't be. That's the same fear porn that is given to, you know, darker skinned folks. That says there's some, you know, this group is trying to wipe you out. But I've been forced to, or I've been drawn to listening to some of that stuff again, and she's talking a lot about how the Jews, again, it's lumping a whole lot of people under one banner, and I think that most people in any group are, the majority, 99.9% of people, if not more, are like all of us, simply trying to wrestle with or living in the soup of information or disinformation that we've been given and fed along the way. All of us. There's no special group when it comes to that. There's no group. This is what ball earthers think, is that they think, oh, you claim that these scientists are sitting in dark rooms and knowingly lying. You know, you've got 100 scientists who've all gone through university, for example, and they've all been taken into a room and said, let's pretend, let's not tell everybody this truth. No, of course not. I'm trying to reconnect. Hope I'm back. I really don't think that that these people are lying. They're simply repeating the same dogma that they were taught when they were 5, 10, and 20. And everything around them simply reaffirms that, you know, the science books and the community at large, the BBC and the National Geographic channel, which laughably I actually came across their apparent debunk of National Geographic have got millions of views on a video that claims they see curvature over a lake. They can measure the curving water over a lake, and it's like, oh my god. So you're saying that if I'm standing on this side of the lake and my friend's on the other side of the lake, he's lower than me because the water's dipped down? Is that what you're saying? What if you asked him on the other side what his experience is? He would say, no, I'm higher up and the water's dipping down and going down to you, so you're lower than me. It's a bit of an impasse, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to draw an absolutely solid line between the Christchurch event in New Zealand just over a month ago and Notre Dame and today's attacks in Sri Lanka. Anyone who's died, you know, I'm sorry, and the families affected, very sorry. But this is a narrative, this is a storyline. We've been taken down a path, and wow. All across the West today, prayers are going to be given in Sundays, churches all over the place. And all over the place, people are going to be reminded that there are people, bad people, seeking to kill Christians. So of course people are going to want to choose a side because they need to defend their end, you know, they need to stand up for their group, as it were. This isn't... What a shame. I think maybe the guy's trying to inflate his swimming pool or something, because it's just a noise. I hope that's not coming through to you. Anyway, I'm just in a little bit of a quandary, really, with regards to how this race, religion, these race and religion cards are being brought to the fore. And I've got a helicopter coming over here. I swear, I thought I came outside for a little bit of peace and quiet, but it's actually noisier there than inside. There it goes. Sorry, I don't mean to be wasting your time. My thoughts are a little bit scattered, a little bit all over the place. One thing's for sure is the heat is on. The game is on, you know, and it's going to get messier. And it's certainly we're going to see more of this, because there's no way this is the end of it. I mean, it might not be for a few months, but I think that things seem to be on a bit of a, maybe it's that season, but things seem to be on a bit of a timeline. And if you look at the modus operandi, and it sort of fits the bill with so much else that we've seen over the last few years. White nationalism, racism, it's hard to be sure where to go with all this. Let me say a few hellos. Oh, hi Nathan, good morning. Hi Peretti, hey. Mark, Melvin, if they're Christians, they're probably dead. Yeah, I'm not gonna even add it to that. Hey, morning Nicholas, how are you? Nonsense, all religion. Well, yeah, well, I mean, I generally hold that view too. I don't, yeah. Hey, Monik, how are you going? Thanks for stopping in. The Aussie drama. Hey, brother. Tuning in from Australia. Mossad. Yes. Yes, although, you know, Mossad can only operate like it does with the say-so of the rest of the teams, right? So it is like this. Like when you're in the military, they'll go, okay, so there's a team coming in from whatever, and you just go along and support them and do whatever. My experience of the CIA in Angola was, yeah, okay, they're here, and we must go along with the higher-ups sort of plan for whatever, and we'll support that or get involved in it as commanded. So, you know, Mossad, you know, think about it, you know, Israel exists because the British created it, and, you know, the state of Israel. And, you know, Israel, it seems, is, you know, funded to quite a large extent by American money and by German guilt, because Germans apparently have to pay a lot of money to Israel for the World War II business. Which, by the way, you know, I think that all of that concentration camp thing was about partly about destabilizing the Jewish people in that area and giving them a new free home in Israel. Hey Rita, hey man, thank you. Warren Christians, yeah. Oh, okay, Nicholas, sorry, I couldn't stay. Hi Dave, that's Conrado. Is that Conrado? My eyesight's not perfect, sorry. Hi Jolly. They're trying to raise money. There's another thing behind it which MSM won't tell. It's the fall down of the Roman takeover. It was built on a temple. Are you talking about Are you talking about Nostradamus? I mean Notre Dame. Dolly, I'm not sure, because the Sri Lanka thing I haven't got that much detail on, and I don't suppose there were Roman temples out there. Dolly Daydream suggests to stop watching the MSN mainstream media. The old order is being dismantled. By whom? By whom? Who on the side of humanity, on the side of decency, is doing that? Dismantling the old order. See, for my money, the Dolly, the people in power have always wanted to create. What they'll do is they'll say, I'll give you politics as an example. In the UK, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, or something like that, everybody hated the Labour Party, and when the Labour Party left office, they left a cheeky little message on. This is probably bullshit, but we're told that they left a message for the finance minister to say, sorry, we've spent all the money, we're broke. And we were all told that, right? And that's some kind of, that's really a poke in the eye for every taxpayer, for the citizens of the country. But it gave a sense, it certainly gave that kind of anti-Labour rhetoric so much power. And everybody was like, yeah, bring the Conservatives in, they'll sort our finances out and so on, and they'll sort it all out, and that's what we need, the Conservatives. Right? Now, they hate the Conservatives so much, they're begging for Labour to come back in. Not only are they begging for Labour to come back in, but they want to bring in this sort of leftist, socialist dude. I don't watch it enough now. What's his name? Jeremy Corbyn. So people are clamouring for Jeremy Corbyn. When 5 years ago, when I was still watching the MSN, he was like some bad boy. He was like, how can they even be considering this guy as a leader for the Labour Party? That was within the Labour Party itself. Now, even Conservatives are saying, please bring some, you know what I mean? So they create something to look so bad that everybody's going, please, yes. Do you know what I mean? Like if I said to you, the only water you could drink, you got two choices. You could drink the water straight out of my toilet after I've been there, right? After I've sat down and let go of yesterday's curry. Or you could drink, the muddy water that's flowing down the road, and you would probably choose to drink the muddy water that's flowing down the road as a better option than the one that I'd left you, right? No one wants to drink the muddy water running down the road, but ultimately, if you only have two choices, it's it's the same they did with Trump. I'm not sure if you're still loving Trump, but they created such a monster out of Hillary Clinton and the Clinton dynasty that people, despite Trump being a complete arsewipe, maybe even Jewish, German too, they were like, yeah, we'll have Trump, please, let's have Trump. Now, to create the Trump legend, they needed to give him, 30 years of showing how good he is at business and give him a little TV reality show and all that sort of stuff to create that, so that people would go, okay, look, he may not be of the political dynasty that we're used to, but, he's definitely better than Clinton. We don't want Bill back in the office. So that's what they do. They create that kind of yin-yang, push-pull. So, new order coming from the old, it's been given to you by the old order, Dolly. This kind of idea that Julian Assange is going to ring in, he is forcing the changes and so on. Come on, you've done 5 seconds of research into that guy. Then look at what WikiLeaks has read. If you know half of the sort of truths that have come to light in the last years, then you know that Julian Assange is not telling. He's not. He decides what people. I heard this on a podcast somewhere. Someone was playing a news piece, and it was like, we like Julian because he looks at the information and he decides what's in the public's best interest to learn about the government's lies and stuff. It's like, what? So we've just given yet somebody else permission to determine what we should or shouldn't know. And yet when we know things about 9/11, 7/7, the Boston bombing, Sandy Crook, all these things, right? That he's not, no, you don't need to look at those. There's not much, there's nothing, there's much more important things to do with banking. And he won't say, oh, no, it's the Jewish usury system of stealing, or your own money, where you're creating debt out of your own life sweat. He won't say that. No. He'll say, oh yeah, they fiddled the LIBOR rates, or they fiddled the bank, the banking, the gold standard, or whatever. This is bullshit. This is for children's, this is for the Sunday Times. It's that kind of level of belief in the system. You're still reading the Sunday Times, Dolly. If you think that Julian Assange, who thinks that 9/11, nothing really wrong with that, What can I say? And Blackbird, hi friend. Hi Drew. Thank you. Yes, Dolly's right. Fear is where they want us. That's true. I agree with that. But fear is not just in my camp. It's in his camp and her camp and that camp. Everybody is in that kind of. I mean, obviously, there's plenty of people say, "Oh, let it all go." Don't stop paying so much attention to that ugliness and that nastiness that's going on. Just in your world, what have you got going on? It's just your family, and the sun is shining and so on. So what's the problem? But we know that the majority are being seduced by the mainstream media. We know the majority are being fluoridated to the point of not caring about anything other than the immediacy of the things around you. I'm not cut out like that. I have always been concerned about the wider world and what we're doing here and what's our purpose. But for sure, the attacks that keep coming are designed for a much greater purpose. And what they want us to do is to be little field mice, cowering in our little cabin and letting the controllers determine. With my luck, my neighbor just starts to have to make this bloody noise. Sunday morning, peace and quiet. Well, I guess I shouldn't complain. I'm not in Sri Lanka. But yeah, that's all fear. And it's designed for fear. And obviously the impact of doing it on a day like today. I was thinking to myself, they're not going to do any attacks today. I was thinking, there's plenty of people like me thinking, oh yeah, this is a good time to do it. But that's oftentimes when I think, oh, it's a good time to do it. There's no attack happens, So partly surprised, but in a way, it's all connected. And Christchurch is under attack. And the people of the Christchurch are obviously made to feel that fear. And that kind of rhetoric of anti-Muslim, well, that only just gets another vaccinated shot in the arm. Does anyone else listen to Rosette, or has anyone else listened to her stuff recently? I mean, some of the stuff makes me feel uncomfortable, I have to be honest. Andrew said to me yesterday, why are you listening to this stuff? Like, well, I think I need to hear things that I've been programmed to feel uncomfortable to hear. I was obviously brought up in a society that taught us that there are these different groups, and these different groups aren't meant to there are these different races, if you like. And then, of course, we moved into a more multicultural society, one in which all races, so-called races, are joined at the hip. I don't know. I need to work through this stuff, guys. I think it's worth saying that I don't know. I don't know very much. And it's like some days I'm like, why am I shouldn't even go and talk, because I don't know enough to say anything. It's just the more you learn, or the more you uncover, and the less you realize you know. And the more you realize you're being played. I don't know if you can hear me. I asked him if and he walked straight past me, ignored me, so I knew then that he was ignoring me for that reason. And I asked him why he stole from me, but he carried on walking. Now, there's not much I can do about that, really. But they took some big plants from me, and I would have had so much to smoke this year. I would have felt like a king. So I have to think about the symbolism of that, why? Because I opened that door, I started trying to be friendly to the lad, 22-year-old boy with, 22-year-old lad. Try to be nice to him. Then he comes and steals from me. Then his mother finds out, and she calls the police. Because I assume he would have lied to her and said, no, he gave me this weed. Or sold me this weed. Because that's what they came in and said, you were dealing weed. Or whatever, something like that, Which, of course, I wasn't. But it's something that I have to think about quite a lot, because, one, it costs an awful lot of money to buy that stuff now. And I don't have much money. And sounds like my little boy needs me. I'd like to have a conversation with some of you. I mean, I'm not getting a lot of people on this stream right now, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be a big hitter on the YouTube thing. Some days I think about closing this account down, because fuck it. What am I doing? I've had a few beautiful moments, Charlotte, they've given energy. It's nice to have Blackbird say what he just down. I have a friend, Terry, who has started a YouTube. He did his first live stream the other day, and he credited me for inspiring him to do that. Hey, little boy. Hey, my little boy. You gonna come play outside? Yeah. So it's not all gloom and doom. But we don't know. And I'll tell you what, I want to put out love and kind of goodness to, Ball Earthers are absolutely retarded in their unwillingness to let go of their religious belief. It's just insanity to me. an insanity to me that we keep, even people who claim to be like well researched, keep thinking that there is within this system, there is someone coming to kind of turn it all around. It's not coming from within the system, friends. It's not. It won't. The system will give you an alternative, but it'll be their muddy water from the street versus the toilet water. Yeah, it's the better. These are the two candidates we've been given. These are the two options we've been offered. And if it comes from someone like a Julian Assange or some sort of Tommy Robinson type character who you think, oh yeah, he's coming from, he's singing from the man on the streets kind of. They did that with the Bolshevik revolution, didn't they? They led it. Lenin and all of them. So there's more fuckery to come. Thanks for saying that. I wrote this is Blackbird, that is white. I wrote a message at YouTube censoring, please do not shut this channel down. Your thoughts help me so much. You are so sane. Thank you. My father came to my house yesterday. Sorry, day before yesterday. And, he lives in South Africa. It was his 80th birthday last month. And he came over to have his birthday celebration with his sister down in Dorset, which is where I was born. And it was decided that it probably wasn't a good idea if I joined the party. Just let that sink in for a moment. It's only a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive for me. But the relationship is so strained that I didn't go to my father's 80th birthday celebration on his birthday. He's just come back from a few weeks in America with seeing my younger sister over in Los Angeles, and so he was in London for a day and a half before flying back to South Africa yesterday. He would have landed this morning. So we went to lunch on Friday, Good Friday. I had some fish. And my father has lost all respect for me. A little moment of irony at the table because his new wife had come over to my book launch in 2014, and she'd also, I'd done a little book tour in South Africa actually later on, and she was at 2015. I did it early in 2015, May in 2015. So that was I'd already found out that Earth. No, I'd found out about 9/11, and I was starting to consider. I'd seen the flat Earth, but I don't think I wouldn't have been trying to tell anybody about it at that point. I was certainly telling people about 9/11. Not vociferously, but I was talking about it. And so my mother-in-law, sorry, not my mother, my stepmom, she made a comment about having been upset by someone who had been dismissive of my book, and it was an irony to me because people were proud of me and my family when I published that book. And now my sisters and my father can barely be in the same space as me. Both my sisters have been in London in the last few months, and neither of them would spend time at my house. And nor too, did my father really want to be around me. So this is a very tough road we walk, friends. And I guess I know I need to be supportive of you and me. Some people have even thrown me some coins, some money, and I'm so grateful for that. But we are under attack, and I don't mean Christians, because I don't hold myself as a Christian. I'm vexed though, because you get so many people say, "Oh, this talk of Christ within each human, within each of us is blasphemous, and it's a New Age trap." And then you hear how they say, there's three types in the Bible. Apparently, there's mud. There's I haven't studied this, but there's three different types of kind of people that are here, and there's mud people. They're never going to work it out. And then there's others who are meant to be teachers and seers and showers, and others who are sort of on that ascension path of sorts. Sometimes it can get a little bit muddy in the mind with so much information. Got to keep true to the heart, hey? My battery is almost dead. More fuckery to come, yeah. Dorset, yeah, you're in Bournemouth? Okay, yeah, I was born in Poole. Butch, and 1968. I love it down there. Actually, my wife and I are thinking of trying to find a place down there. I mean, we're going to be evicted from this house soon enough. I don't have a steady stream of income here. So we're sort of free to move. My son finishes his final exams in about 6 weeks' time at school. So we'll be on our way as soon as that's way, And obviously we're trying to get to a place where the rent isn't so insane. So we'll see. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll hopefully come and have a cup of coffee with you sometime, Butch. That would be cool. Hey, hi, Jax. Morning. I've been rather miserable on this stream, my friend. So don't go back and listen to it. I guess before my battery dies, I should say that really the stream is, if people have died in Sri Lanka, I am dreadfully sorry for that. But there certainly is a connection between this and the Christchurch attack. Christchurch. And obviously the Notre Dame thing. Apparently, I heard this morning that people are now arguing vociferously over the fact that they've raised $1 billion or £1 billion, I'm not sure, or $1 billion francs or euros of course, to refurbish this place. And now people are really angry because if we can raise that much money for an old building, why can't we raise it for humanity? Well, because we're not meant to. There's something else going on. Yeah, the truth is religions are equally false, with zero reason at all to believe a single religious claim. Humanity's greatest mistake is religion, or it's our greatest form of control, because we give up so much. We give up so much to it, and just like the scientism religion we were all part of, we. Just gonna pop a battery on here, my love. I'm gonna try and stick with you guys a little bit longer because Alexander's playing with his trains right now. Look. So if I can, I'm gonna jack in, and then all right, I'm still here, and I've got a battery pack. Battery doesn't last very long when you're
okay, all right.
When you're streaming. I won't be much longer, honey. I see Alexander. Yeah, Def. Go walking with my boy. He's still here. Yeah. This, when the battery dies, and I'm midstream, it hangs and it just shows as though I'm still live for hours, I think. sometimes. So, oh man, in my darkest moments, all I want to do, I know this, I get on my knees and ask to be able to serve. I don't want to go back into this system in any way to contribute to, you know, the government and the corporations and so on. I don't want to be contributing to that. I don't want to pay taxes to this system. I just want to serve my fellow man, but then you see how powerful this system is at the moment, that an event will occur, such as Sri Lanka, Notre Dame, Christchurch, and from that will come so much negative, so much hatred. Very sad, because that's how, you know, right-minded people are starting to think, is that, you know, we're under constant assault, and the enemy has been let in the gates by our. Thank you so much, honey. Cheers. Coffee. Ooh. The enemy, as such, has been created. That in-group preference, that in-group hatred, or that out-group hatred, is being stoked. And when you go down to Speaker's Corner, no one's hearing you because you're not one of those wanting to stoke that hatred. But I suppose I'm doing my part, you know, I'm saying things that are perhaps inciting people to feel a certain way about other people. I really don't want to do that. What I want to do is serve humanity so that we can rise and grow. It's really off-putting, that noise. I have to say, I don't know how much you can hear it, but it's really, really annoying. One of the, you know, I think one of the things about cannabis is that it's funny actually. My friend Lee from Flat Earth British Sub, he started smoking weed recently because he's realized that so many people who are in the sort of community of thinkers are weed smokers too. You know, he's always kind of come up on the alcohol thing. So, and I do credit cannabis probably with keeping my mind in some ways free of some of the clutter that seems to be holding a lot of my friends back. But equally, perhaps, you know, a period of weed-free clarity, cannabisless clarity might also be good. However, having said that, it means that when there's annoying things, particularly in this first few days of being without it, there's annoying things, and they tend to annoy me a little bit more than they would otherwise. Does anyone else find that? What a surprise. What a surprise. I'm dappled by the olive tree. I got a little olive tree that I saved from a client. She'd thrown it away. Actually, 2 olive trees, and I rescued them both. I'm pretty pleased about that, and hopefully one day I can plant them in the ground. They're currently in pots. We live in an upside-down world. Yeah. Ramping it up. You're sitting in sun, Jax? Cool. Oh, you got great views, Butch? Oh, man. And I want to be near the sea again, you know. Sea and mountains, streams and forests. This is where we belong. Not in these urban jungles that have been created for us to become cities and ships. citizenships in cities. These are all against nature. Some people say they want us in these cages, these things, because we're much easier to manage and so on. It's hard to argue against that. But, we know that we're meant to be in nature, and the system knows that we're meant to be in nature, which is why they're doing it. You miss the sea? Yeah. I think there's something. I mean, water has got memory, hasn't it? And it's absolutely vital to be around water. We took Alexander down to the river the other day with Josh and Charlotte, and he had such a good sleep that night, because he'd spent about an hour paddling around plonking around in the river, and being in water and around good water, particularly the oceans, I think is vital for your well-being. And I think that fresh ether coming off the oceans as well is particularly invigorating, electrifying. I think I mentioned this on a stream just the other day about how the alveoli in the lungs are like electrical receptors for this ether. That's my theory. And the fresher the ether, the better the charge you're going to be running on. Yeah, for rest. Weed and coffee. Oh man, I like to wake and bake as it goes, so my routine is currently altered. I know there'll be a time when I can grow again, but I can't grow here, because the enemy is alongside of me. But it's a good life lesson for me, and a lesson about forgiveness. See, they only did what they did because of the lies they've been told about how bad cannabis is, and they did what they did because they've been empowered by a system, a draconian system that somehow thinks it can, for some reason, has got to the point where it can tell me what I can put in my body and what I can grow in my garden. And recently I looked at getting involved in a hemp project, and I was hoping the hemp project would be able to pay me a little bit of money or provide me with some accommodation or something like that. None of those things, and worse yet, that the UK government, although it grows and licenses the growing of 95 tons a year of cannabis, and some for the medical industry too, it allows people now to grow hemp under license, but they can only use the stalk. They can't use the bud, and they can't use the leaf into the soil. There's nothing in it. So, you'd have to already have the land, you'd have to have all the equipment, you'd have to have all of that stuff kind of good to go, because there's the profit margin, the amount of money you can make on it is so little, it's almost barely worth changing from rapeseed or whatever other, crop you might be growing to grow the hemp. And of course, hemp is so strong, you need special combine harvesters, because the regular combine harvesters get chopped up with it. But yeah, so they are only operating on a disinformation campaign and misinformation and ignorance, which is a little annoying, but that's part of my journey, because we are going to meet so many people that are numb in the skull, that are unwilling to hear this. And who, so, like, going back to something that I don't know if Dolly's still in here, but, something Dolly said just now about, there's to paraphrase, there's a change, the change is coming, or there's this sort of Julian Assange, Donald Trump kind of thing is the sign that the change is coming, and that, you know, the old world order is being set aside, and a new, fairer, egalitarian type of thing is coming. No, it's not. No, it's absolutely not, because the people don't even need to, you know, we few thousands or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people who are seeing through a lot of this deception are very much in the minority. The majority are just, they'll be happy to have a Jeremy Corbyn come into power, a say a replacement Donald Trump. Let's say it's a female, Marianne Williamson, is our preferred candidate at the moment for the next you know, presidency. You know, like a woman who isn't Hillary Clinton. You know, so people were prepared for a woman last time around with Hillary Clinton, but now, you know, when they've been given a misogynist like Donald Trump, and you know, who doesn't do the things like protect Julian Assange. Have you thought about that, Dolly? Why is Donald Trump not you know, going to every length, and why is Theresa May not going to every length to kind of say, hey, this guy, he did point out deceptions, you know, whether we like, you know, whether they're low-hanging fruit as I claim or not, he did point out, you know, he has brought to thing, but we live in a world in which no, it's far more important he's done for having, you know, we must set an example. We don't want people extracting sensitive government information and just giving that to the world. Oh no, we can't have that. And most people are, I mean, as a child, as a little boy in school, I would say to my folks, why is it that the Vatican is allowed to hold all of this secret knowledge in their catacombs, and we don't get to kind of, you know, who appointed them protectors of this information? I don't know that I trust them enough to let them have this information without us going to have a look at it. But you see, the majority of us are caught up in this hierarchy of accountability, or hierarchy of responsibility, where we're willing to give our energy, we're willing to subjugate ours, we're willing to acknowledge. And I was one of these people who got into the habit of just saying, yeah, well, we'll trust the government to kind of work it out, and use democracy to make sure that the left pulls the right in line, and the right pulls the left in line, and so on. You know, I used to kind of go along with that, and the truth is the majority of people still do go along with that. So, you know, they'll simply accept what the CNN and the BBC tells them, and says, okay, well, you know, they've investigated, and certain, you know, whatever, but you tell somebody that the JFK shooting is nothing what they were, you know, what was told, and they'll go, well, how do you know? And they'll go, well, because how about a congressional hearing decided in early 1970s that all the truths about 9/11 weren't known, and then they'll want to talk about something else. Be like, sorry, did I say 9/11? All the truths about JFK were not known, and that it might have been another shooter, for example. Not that that's the rabbit hole bullshit, but you know that people go, oh, that was 1970, it's a long time ago, what does it matter now, kind of thing. Well, it's like, so they acknowledge that we were never told the truth by the authorities of the day, and you don't feel that that's important. Same as Assange going, yeah, okay, 9/11, well, maybe the Saudis had something to do with it, and there's those 20 odd pages that were redacted, and you know, whatever. So that's the kind of once you've got someone's intention, and they'll go, oh, well, but we know a little bit about that, and it could have been the Saudis and so on, but there's not, you know, what can you do about it now, and what does it matter, and just simply go along with it. Well, this is where most people are at, is we're in the kind of, we go along with it, we trust the system, the status quo. And I think that's going to remain for some time. And then the status quo has providing this option B, this ditch water. Yeah. Donald Trump is the dirty toilet water. In fact, when I've told you this before, if you've been listening to me for a while, that back in the 90s, I used to say to a pal, if we were going for a number two, going for a poo, yeah, we'd say, I'm going for a dump, or a Donald Trump. That was back in the 90s. His name had already been ceded to us, of course. So you could either have Trump water, or we're going to give you Marianne Williamson ditch water, you know. And people go, please, let's have the Marianne Williamson ditch water version of democracy, please. And that'll be where it ends. Okay. Sounds like I've got to go. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for your time. I hope you have a super Sunday. And again, I mean, where's this all leading us to? There was a Enoch Powell speech back in the 60s or the 50s where he said, there will be rivers of blood. And it does feel to me like they're trying to create that scenario now. They want to create that kind of anger between groups of people. That's why I don't want to choose sides. That's why I want to try and build a kind of, not only me, but others I'm sure want to build a kind of collective of human beings who, no matter our sort of, whether we're mudmen or enlightened ones or whatever those three groups are, whatever, that we're all in this together. Bless you, baby boy. I don't know. I want to try and end on a more positive note. I'm grateful for this opportunity to talk to you. I'm grateful for this life. I know I don't sound very grateful at the moment, but it's weighing heavily on me, this various things. I won't go into it. I'll look forward to